We've been waiting as the communications director for the office of the governor, Crystal Paco San Augustine, had notified media on Wednesday at 1:30 that additional announcements about limitations on social gatherings, I think, would be announced shortly. And, well, here we are, just about 2 days later. I'm not sure, is there a legal definition to the word shortly?
Let's bring in the experts.
Yeah, whatever you want it to mean.
Asking for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, guys. We have in our KUAF News Zoom room attorneys Tom Fisher and Rachel Taimanao-Ayuyu here. Good morning.
Good morning.
So, is there a legal definition of shortly?
Yeah, Rachel.
I think it really means at this point they're at their discretion. So
I see.
We could be waiting a while.
Someone had commented. One of the funniest comments today was they meant shortly in dog years. That's so appropriate on National Dog Day. It's 9:34. So yeah. Anyway, we wanted to bring you on. I don't know if you guys had heard, but there was a couple things that came out of Adelup. There was an executive order Friday that announced the purging of the unvaccinated. And basically, this original executive order, what would they call it? Restriction of movement for unvaccinated individuals. It called for proof of vaccination to be shown, to be able to dine in, work out, watch a movie, go on a booze cruise, watch dolphins, go to the bar. Basically anything fun, only the vaccinated people could do it. And obviously, over the weekend, there was a lot of backlash. I think there was about like 85 million different protests. Monday, it started. We just heard all kinds of horror stories from staff having to ask people for their papers. But then Monday evening at 9:30, or 9, was it 9? What time was it? Was it?
Around 9, I think, or 9:30.
So Monday at 9, they came out with what they had called a refined executive order. That was brilliant.
And the video.
Yeah, and a video. And they said that, okay, now, in addition to showing proof of vaccination, you can now self-attest, but you had to have at least, well, you have to say at the very least that you have received one shot of the vaccine.
And for employees of these private companies that are covered under the refined executive order, you will now have the option of weekly COVID tests, similar to what the governor has applied to GovGuam agencies.
Oh, that was the other thing I left out. So Friday, on her EO Friday, she had mandated that all private businesses have to have all of their staff vaccinated. I think it was by the end of September. So I guess we'll kind of just start there. Do you guys feel that the government has the authority to mandate a private business relative to forcing their employees to take the jab, if you will?
I'm going to let Tom go first.
Okay. Short answer, yes. It's constitutional. The Supreme Court, when Amy Coney Barrett, I think she declined cert on that Indiana University case, essentially found that it is constitutional to do so. There's that well-worn phrase that the Constitution is not a suicide pact. The government has certain responsibilities to make sure that we are healthy and safe. And I think Governor Leon Guerrero is doing what she needs to do to make sure that the population is safe. So short answer, yes, I think it's constitutional. I don't think Rachel shares necessarily that opinion.
Hold on a second, because I'm just like, I got to wait a minute here. Is this Tom Fisher? Where'd you put the real Tom Fisher? Who is this?
Oh.
I think that's, I'm going to jump in here because this is a perfect example, I think, in Tom's present position. I think for the island as a whole, I think Jackie was talking about this a few days ago, where why is the response very limited in terms of thoughts being shared? If there are any oppositions to this executive order, it's been shared publicly in a very limited way. And I think that over the course of a year and a half, it's just our people, and maybe even Tom Fisher over there is just is tired of having to, oppose everything. I mean, if it's beaten into you for that long enough, I mean, you're just going to get in line. And I don't think I'm there yet. I've had this conversation with Tom.
Wait a minute, are you saying that my opinion isn't honestly held?
No, I think that it is, but we went to district court. We were booted out in that Pinehoff case.
That was a different issue.
It was a different issue, but it's on the same lines. I mean, does the government have the authority to regulate businesses in such a way?
But Rachel, that wasn't the argument in Pinehoff. The question was, do they have to reimburse you or compensate you for a taking? We never, and
right.
The argument was never that she doesn't have the authority to do it. But, in my mind, you brought up something, or Chris did, about these weekly COVID tests. Here's the deal to me. The governor is saying you cannot go into places where you are essentially a vector of disease. To me, that's completely consistent with saying, well, you can't drive drunk. That's kind of a time-worn analogy. And of course, nobody's going to argue that you have the right to drive drunk. But I'll tell you what kind of frosts my shorts. You brought up this thing about the weekly testing. Why do I have to pay for some bonehead who refuses to get a vaccine? I have to pay for that test? I don't want to do that. Why do I have to pay for these people who are self-insured, who refuse to get a vaccine and end up in the hospital, occupying beds that, my grandma can't use because she just had a heart attack, et cetera, and so forth? If these folks want to endanger the entire community and be a vector of disease, so be it. But guess what? They're not going to be allowed to go out and spread the disease and possibly cause a mutation. So, I mean, it's that simple. The governor is not telling people to line up and they're going to get a shot in the butt. The governor is saying, if you don't want to get the shot, that's fine, but you don't get to go and do things that responsible individuals do.
Rachel.
But you can be a vector of disease even if you're vaccinated.
Exactly. And
True.
this is true. So I think at that point,
So wear a mask.
My issue here is if the government is regulating these businesses in such a way that, and I agree with Jackie, in such a way that now are they acting through these businesses when they say, no, you cannot come in? Why do we not have in the executive orders that government offices cannot have patrons come in without proof of vaccination? I'll tell you why, because it's going to go to court very, very quickly. And to do it through private businesses where businesses can say, yeah, I have the independence and autonomy to say, I don't want certain customers who are unvaccinated or regulate who comes in by age. In this case, if there are 12-year-olds that come in, and I was one of the first people to get vaccinated, and my children, one of my 4 children, are vaccinated, and the 3 others, they're not. And so I can't go into the restaurant to have a sit-down meal with my entire family because my 3 other children can't come in. What happens if they do? What happens if we do come in? And the business says no.
Well, Rachel, isn't it true that your children cannot go into the restaurant because there are irresponsible people in the community who refuse to do their civic duty, which is to get that vaccination? What are they afraid of? That they're going to become magnetized? No, that's just insane.
I think so. If you're talking and you're saying that these businesses can actually do that, I mean, we're talking. There are so many issues. What about our privacy concerns? I mean, are these businesses now bound by HIPAA? They wouldn't be subject to HIPAA to begin with, but if the government is acting through these businesses, and it looks like they are, I mean, are there HIPAA violations? Are there privacy violations? Everybody's kind of, sorry.
Well, Rachel, if you go down to Club Whoop-De-Doo or something and you want to have a beer, and the proprietor says, show me your driver's license that you are 21 years old, are you saying that too is a privacy violation?
No, but then you're asking me for my health records and a vaccination
not.
card.
I'm asking for proof of vaccination.
Exactly. And if I'm going to give you that proof of vaccination, it's through a vaccination card, and that's protected health information.
I don't know. I don't know that I agree with that. And also, the person who's receiving the information is not a healthcare provider, so they're not bound by HIPAA. But I think we're getting a
Or their
little bit
business associates.
Where-
Or their
where's-
business associates.
I have a question. Where's Club Whoop-de-Doo?
Somewhere down south.
Okay. Now, Rach, let me ask you guys this. So let's say I am one of the unclean.
Okay.
I'm unvaccinated. I want to go eat out, and because it's my fundamental constitutional right, I'm denied because I don't want to self-attest and lie. And I say I want to go in and eat. I'm unvaccinated. They say, oh, you can't come in here. Can I get money? Can I sue?
No. Go ahead, Rachel.
I don't think that, I don't think that you can
What
get
about,
money.
because I look in the comments and everyone says that this is an infringement on their constitutional rights. So, I mean, if that sounds like the big one right there. That sounds like a million.
But Chris, the Constitution is a prohibition on the government's actions, not Club Whoop-de-Doo or Kmart or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
but does
What the
Club,
government did,
does
what the
Club,
government did here is that it found a loophole, and it's acting under the guise of these private businesses. I would say that that makes them state actors. And if somebody who has taken a look at my card and gets my information because it has identifying information, including my date of birth on this vaccination card, and goes to share it with, I don't know, Tom Fisher, that would be a violation for me.
Okay, violation of what part of the Constitution?
That would be a violation of, I think that that would be a HIPAA violation, because then Tom is going to disagree with me, because that, Club Whoop-de-Doo is not a healthcare provider, but I would say that it's a business associate because it acts under the guise of public health. So.
No. Okay. I think the larger point here is whether or not the government has the authority to do this. And my position is they absolutely do. It's part of their police power. I said earlier, you can't drive drunk and you can't go through Tucson. It's my constitutional right to fire my 45 into the air. Oh, no, it's not. It's we're going to regulate that under our police powers. Is anybody here in this Zoom meeting going to argue that the government can keep me from firing my 45 on San Victoria's Road? No, I don't think any reasonable person would. Why do we allow these people who endanger all of us and cost all of us money to participate fully in civic life? There's got to be some way to get control of this disease. And
Well,
to my mind,
Tom, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. In other states where there are vaccine mandates or mask mandates, vaccine mandates, there are exemptions to those. And the exemptions are going to be for religious beliefs or what other medical exemptions. I don't think that there are any exemptions here in this EO. So does the governor have the authority to do it? I think our Supreme Court has said that the governor has the authority.
Yes.
And that I think needs to be refined in such a way that lawsuits can do, as well as the legislature. I'm just, one of the things that surprises me is I've not heard anything from our legislature. No, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. I believe there was a press release that was shared by Senator Addis' office. Reaching out and telling the public to reach Adelup, to call Adelup, to communicate with the governor, when it's not the people. That's why they're elected. They are elected to equalize this power.
Well, we got to do
And
your
they're
work
not
for you. You
doing
go call the
anything.
governor, dude. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Let me
And
just,
I like Tony. Senator Addis is my friend, so
let me
I
just
like
ask
him.
though,
I appreciate what he's doing,
Right.
but really, he in office should be the one to do it.
Tom. So you
don't
said,
walk it back.
Tom, you said that.
You're gonna have Tony call me now.
Tom, you said that constitutional rights. So if I'm one of the unvaxxed and I'm yelling at my constitutional rights, you say it doesn't apply. Well, what about my human rights?
Okay, your human right to what?
I don't
What
know.
are
I'm
your
looking in the
human right-
comments. Everyone says our human rights are being violated.
In the sense that we are no longer autonomous over our own body because the government, this is untrue. The government is not forcing you to get a vaccine. They're just saying you can't do certain things if you're unvaccinated. But if you were saying this is an issue of personal autonomy, and I'm sure there are thousands of people in the community that are saying, no, it's my body. I don't want to get a needle stuck in it, and I get to do that. A little bit. I wonder how many of those people oppose a woman's right to choose an abortion. Just to open a can of worms here, you know, autonomy is autonomy. You can't be inconsistent like that. If you are saying that the government cannot control this aspect of my personal human autonomy, then that, you know, I don't think the discussion ends with the vaccine. Now, you say human rights. What about my human right to be free of living in a community that is replete with and overrun by a dangerous virus? Why should I have to suffer because you refuse to act?
The danger here is that we are discriminating between, I mean, we're discriminating against people who are unvaccinated. And for whatever their reasons are, you know, vaccinated people, like Sabrina said, also transmit the virus. And so where do we stop? Where does the government's authority stop? All right, so certain sexually transmitted diseases can be passed without, you know, certain sexual acts, I think. And so are we going to now ask for their records of all of their health records? Maybe ask them, you know, when does it stop? Where does it end? I mean, it's a slippery slope.
Well,
for sure.
I mean, no, but one of the things we do is we criminalize the transmission of sexually transmitted diseases. When you are with a partner that you haven't informed that I've got HIV/AIDS or I've got chlamydia or whatever, there are many jurisdictions in which you can be criminally punished for not telling people that. Why? Because you have transmitted to them a dangerous, potentially deadly virus. And I don't know that you have a problem with that mandatory reporting.
Well, what if it's included as part of an executive order, and now Ruby Tuesdays is forced, okay, not on their own volition, but under this executive order, in order for them to continue operating their business, they must have all of their employees and patrons and customers show proof of vaccination. So, I mean, at what point enough is enough? And I think that...
but isn't it also true that the employee has the unfortunate choice, but, you know, they're fired or they don't come to work? You can't come to work here if you're not vaccinated. Why is that different from you can't come to work here if you are not free of crystal methamphetamine? What's the difference?
That is definitely food for thought, but I don't know if they're exactly the same situation, because one, you know, is...
yeah, that's just a nice way of saying you disagree with me.
I do. I feel everyone thinks that I just automatically agree with Tom Fisher,
Yeah.
but no, I
Yeah.
disagree with.
Well, this has been very entertaining. We got to take care of some business, so I want to thank you guys for coming on. It definitely was not what I was expecting.
Yeah. But
But-
thank you.
Yeah, good
But
talk.
very entertaining.
Yeah.
And
Informative.
And educational.
Yeah.
Everybody get vaccinated, wear a mask, wash your hands.
Definitely wash your hands and wear a
Wear a
mask.
mask.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rach.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Tom.
Stay safe.
All right.
We going to Club Whoop-de-Doo or what? Show my V card.
Sounds like a super spreader place. Doesn't that just sound like, oh, where'd you get? There was a cluster at Club Whoop-de-Doo. Because nobody gives a whoop-de-doo about anything. Just do whatever.
I do.
Let's do a sneak peek of the One Micronesia podcast. It's brought to you by our friends at Taco Bell.